What is going on, mi gente? My name is Ruben, aka Crossroads, and on today's video, I will be talking about my initial thoughts on the Game of Thrones book. This guy over here. And this is gonna be coming from a huge fan of the television show. I will say I finished this book around a month and a half ago, but I still feel like it's pretty fresh on my mind. So I figured it would be great to share with you guys what I thought about A Game of Thrones, Book 1. Before we get going, let me just remind you guys that Binging Dragons is a podcast where we talk about Game of Thrones universe, A Song of Ice and Fire, The Last of Us, Marvel, and so many other things to come. But for the YouTube channel, I will be making these shorter length videos, breaking down episodes, trailers, maybe even news down the road. So if you're a big fan of that, please consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a thing. I really hope to see you around. Okay, on to A Game of Thrones, Book 1. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was my very first time reading A Game of Thrones. And to be honest, I am so happy I decided to just forget about the fact that this is an unfinished book series and went for it. I've got a plan on making a video talking about if it's worth it or not to start the unfinished book series A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. So keep an eye out for that one. As I have mentioned on the podcast before, I became a fan of this world thanks to the television show Game of Thrones. So that is something that definitely helped me lots when reading this book. I have to say, one of my favorite things in the book is how the magical aspect of the story, it feels like it's so much richer. The connection between the Stark kids and their direwolves, which only gets better in A Clash of Kings. Yes, I've read it already just a few days ago, so expect a video about that one very soon as well. One of my first thoughts is, man, having POV chapters is so damn good. It makes you change the way you look at some of the characters, for sure. Sansa, I'm talking to you. I'll go into this later, but yes, Sansa, she has my heart already. I feel like this book is really good at setting the pace and the tone of the story very, very good. And a big reason for that is the amazing prologue we get in this book. Man, I wish we would have had a Dance With Me Waymar Royce moment on the show as well. Probably one of the most badass moments in book 1, if not the most badass. Now, let's talk characters. And I need to start off by saying that I enjoyed all of the chapters. I really did. But my favorite chapters to read in general were Jon, Bran, Tyrion, and Catelyn. And that's kind of weird because if you know me, you know how much I love Daenerys Targaryen. But to be honest, reading most of Dany chapters was straight up sad. This was a little girl that was abused by her brother and then sold off by him to a group of savages in the Dothraki. So reading a lot of her chapters, again, is just sad. Now, of course, there are some really good moments. Her last chapter is one of my favorite, with dragons being back, baby. Actually brings me to a very interesting fact, which I did not know until, obviously, I read the chapter. The fact that the dragons are suckling Dany's breasts was something I did not expect. As in the show, it was not presented like that, and I feel like the dragon suckling solidifies way more her title as Mother of Dragons, as well as opening so much more discourse and theory as to how Dragon Bond works from this point on. Because things were very, very different when it comes to dragon lore during the time or the prime time of the Targaryen dynasty. So I'm very much looking forward to getting to know more down the road and hoping that George actually explains a little bit of this or hints a little bit of this with either Fire and Blood 2 or Winds of Winter or A Dream of Spring. We'll see. Speaking of interesting things, it's the fact that even though Catelyn was brought up in a different religion than Ned, she does not pray to the old gods. She is part of the faith of the Seven, who are very much against the old god. Feels like she embraced more the magical, supernatural aspect that comes with the North. And almost every time that she would bring up things that had to do with the North, Ned would always be so dismissive and straight up skeptic. Speaking of the magical, Bran chapters really pulled me in, as I am a huge sucker for all the visions through dreams and what will it be of him, as well as I am so much looking forward to getting a proper Bran character development, and really not what we got in the last 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. I can't wait to read more and more about Jon. I'm getting ready to read Storm of Swords, and I am just too damn excited to see what happens, because a Clash of Kings, man, was really damn good with the Bran chapter. Now, speaking about very good chapters, let's talk about Jon. Jon chapters will probably be my favorite overall as the story progresses. Reading how he is always battling with himself, questioning his decisions so much, reading how he is always battling with himself, questioning his decisions so much, but at the same time, see how much he grows in just one book is awesome to read. I need to speed things up a little bit here, so I will try to keep it short with the next few characters. I actually would love to do like videos for every character by itself, so let me know in the comments if that is something you would like me to do down the road. Anyways, Sansa, oh my Sam. In the show, I didn't start liking her until around the Ramsay stuff. I felt horrible for her, but she wasn't one of the characters that I just loved watching all the time. But in the book, it is an entirely different thing, and it's all thanks to the fact that we're able to be inside her mind. I was liking Sansa way before the first book ended. Arya, these are absolutely one of the most fun chapters in the story, and of course until it's not, because all thanks to Ned's execution, things get very messed up down the road and have been really rough for her after that. Speaking of Ned, these are some good chapters. But Ned, why do you have to be so dismissive, man? Only he would have given Arya more credit when she warned him about what she heard in that dungeon where Balerion Skull is. Things might have been a little bit different for him, maybe. And to finish things off, Tyrion. I was definitely a fan of his chapters, his smartass attitude, as well as his affinity for the unknown and reading people's behaviors. I felt like were some of the best things that Tyrion chapters brought. These chapters were really fun as well to read. Actually, I think I like these more than the ones from A Clash of Kings. Those are good, but I feel like a Game of Thrones Tyrion chapters are a little bit better. Man, this is a really good book. It's definitely a must if you are a huge fan of this fantasy world that George R.R. Martin created. Really. Actually, after reading A Clash of Kings, I can assure you that things get even better. Read, of course, because there are a lot of tragic things that happen. Before you guys go, please don't forget to let me know in the comments what you like the most about this book. If you've read it, of course. If you haven't, let me know if you're planning on reading it so we can geek out about it whenever you do. And actually, just drop in there things that you love about this world. It doesn't necessarily have to be about A Game of Thrones, the first book. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you want to turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing, would be great. I'm looking forward to making more of these videos, and I hope to see you in the next one, okay? In the meantime, stay safe, have a good day, and remember, Valar Morghulis.